One of my favorite comic book creative teams of all time has got to be Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down this pairing, everything that I own of them, and then we'll talk about what I've read, what I haven't read yet. But it's all the same, man. If you're trying to get into Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips stories, you got to pick up Criminal #1. This was released last week. You don't have to read anything prior before picking this up. This is a great introduction into the Criminal universe, getting you ready for the Criminal show coming out on Amazon Prime soon. And yeah, let's look at this big old stack I've got. So we're gonna get through this, hopefully get through it pretty quickly, and hopefully this give you guys a good idea of what to read if you're looking to get into Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips stuff, because they really are my favorite comic book duo in the game. But let's start off with this Criminal #1, man, because I really think it's a great introduction. So it's just a story featuring Ricky Lawless. This is one of the characters in Criminal. Criminal's got a ton of characters, but the Lawless family is a big part of the Criminal universe. And this is just a heist gone wrong. So like I said, you don't need to read anything previous to this. You can just pick this up and enjoy a Criminal story, you know, set in the Criminal universe featuring Ricky Lawless, and get a great sense of what Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are all about. It's this crime and noir, people making bad decisions, getting the, you know, guns shooting sometimes and heists going on. You got to get a getaway driver and stuff like that, right? So if you're into that, I like movies typically, like Goodfellas, right? Like mob movies. Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are definitely giving you flavors of that all the time. And this is a great example of it. And this Criminal #1, in the back, it includes a lot of really helpful back matter. So this is a breakdown of the entire world of Criminal, introducing you to some of the characters you might meet in the world. They also have some, you know, like some fun little cartoons from the set of Criminal. We have an RPG Criminal, like a Criminal RPG module that Kieran Gillen put together in the very back, so if you're into that as well. And then some more cartoons as well. But this is all of their releases. Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, all the stuff that they've released. So let's get into it, man. Criminal has got to be my favorite thing that they've released, probably besides Fatale. So Fatale is a story of Josephine. She can't die. She lives forever and she never ages. And she also has the power to control men, kind of make them do her bidding. And the entire story is about her. It's kind of like an anthology story. So it's Josephine in the 70s. It's her in the early, 1900s or whatever. And it just goes through Josephine's life as she goes from guy to guy, ruining their lives essentially. And all the while she's being chased by this cult. They're trying to chase down Josephine and get the power back, or use Josephine as a sacrifice to do whatever. They're like an evil cult. And Josephine is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. And I thought Fatale was just a fun ride all throughout. It's that Criminal stuff I like, the crime and noir, but it's got like a little bit of a horror sort of slant to it. So I think that you gotta read Fatale. I've not read The Fade Out yet, so I gotta read The Fade Out. I think it takes place in the Hollywood. It's kind of like that private detective kind of era. So I gotta read The Fade Out at some point. I've heard it's really good. That's the great thing about Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, man. They have so much stuff that even as much as I've read, there's still a lot more to go, and it's just always a joy to read some Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips stuff. Like Incognito. Lucky to have this hardcover. If you guys wanted to read this story, I think it's kind of harder to find, but it was originally printed under a Marvel imprint. They were trying to do something like Vertigo. And this story is all about this dude. I think his name is like Zach Overkill. He used to be a super villain back in the day with his twin brother. Something went wrong. He had to go into witness protection essentially. So this guy is working with the government. They're giving him a drug that suppresses his powers, so he's not able to have any powers anymore. One day though, when he's working his dead end, white collar job, he decides to take this drug, another drug, and it cancels out the drug that the governments are giving him. So now he has his powers back, and what is he gonna do with them? And he just goes on this crazy adventure, right? So that's what Incognito is all about. This guy from back in the day used to be a villain, now he's trying to be a superhero in a world filled with supervillains. Incognito is really good. This is up there for me. It's got to be like a top three out of Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips stuff. You also can read Reckless. The story is about Ethan Reckless. There are 5 releases, I believe. Yeah, 5 releases in this Reckless series. I've only read the first 2. And the story about Ethan Reckless, he's a guy that, if you need something done, you need someone's head bashed or whatever, or you need someone to go in and investigate some stuff, Ethan Reckless is the guy to call. He can get it done for you. I like the Ethan Reckless character a lot. More of that crime and noir sort of flavor, but I think that the time frame that takes place in like the 70s, right, is a really cool time period. And Reckless is really good. You can read it in these hardcovers. Beautiful, beautiful hardcovers. And then, like I said, there's 5 releases of that. I've not read Scene of the Crime yet. As you guys see, I was lucky to pick this up at my comic book shop for a pretty good price. It wasn't cover price, I'll tell you that, but nice hardcover here. Not read Scene of the Crime yet. I believe this is their first ever collaboration. I'm not sure. Maybe they did this before Criminal. I don't know, but have not read Scene of the Crime yet. Got to do it. Night Fever is all about this dude who he's living like a boring life. He's not too into it. He goes overseas to do like a work trip. He's like a writer or something like that. And at night he starts walking around the city and he follows someone into this nightclub and his night just gets crazier from there. So it's all about this guy who typically like wouldn't make these decisions, but he kind of like, gets set into like a different persona almost. And he starts doing all this crazy stuff that he would never do previously. And he gets caught up in this crazy situation, I guess I'll say. So Night Fever is really good. A very unique read, different from their other releases, but another Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips classic, again, in this nice hardcover format. I have read House of the Unholy. This one was all about this girl who had a part in the kind of devil scare back in the day, like when all the schools were cracking down and all the kids were saying, yeah, all the teachers are possessing me or sacrificing me to the devil. I forgot the Satanic Panic, right? So that era, she had a part in it, and it's her way in the future, and it's kind of the ramifications of being a part of the Satanic Panic. This guy who it looks like all the kids who were involved in Satanic Panic are ending up dead, I believe, if I remember correctly, and so she gets involved in that kind of conspiracy. What the heck's going on? Why are all these kids dying? Are they coming after me next, sort of thing? So Houses of the Unholy, another great read from Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. I've not read Bad Weekend. Is this part of Criminal? I don't know. So maybe I've read this if it was already included in a Criminal hardcover. I'm not sure. Same kind of thing with My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies and Cruel Summer. So again, not too sure where these fit in the Criminal universe. Are they separate on their own? Are they not included in any hardcovers? I'm not sure. But at some point, I would like to read these as well. Kill or Be Killed. Not read Kill or Be Killed. I think it's all about this dude who makes a deal with the devil that if he goes out and kills people, then he won't die himself. Something like that. And this is included in 4 different trade paperbacks. I have them all. I'm lucky to have it. I was thinking about getting the compendium though, so I might upgrade at some point to the compendium. But again, another great Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips read. People tell me all the time that this one is a little bit more detailed than Sean Phillips would normally do because he was doing it digitally. So he has the ability to add in a lot more pencil lines that than he normally would. So I haven't read Kill or Be Killed yet, like I was saying. Gotta read it at some point, but I've heard it's really good. People say it's like up there in terms of Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips stories. 2 more to talk about. We got Pulp, the Process Edition. You can find this in a trade paperback, but the Process Edition is really for fans of Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. The story itself is about this cowboy, right? From back in the day in the Old West, he's a criminal. He's going over and doing heists and stuff like that on the railroads, robbing people. And then a couple years later, right, he's older. He's not so much a cowboy anymore. He's living in New York City trying to be a writer. And he gets involved in a new kind of heist going on, right? So it's kind of like, as soon as I'm out, they pull me back in kind of thing. And this is interesting because the Process Edition includes all the scripting and the penciling before you get to the actual story. So if you've ever wanted to see the behind the scenes on how Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips come up with the story from start to finish, you guys got to check out the Pulp edition. It's got the all the scripting, all the penciling, as Sean Phillips is interpreting Ed Brubaker's script, and then it includes some of the coloring process as well from Sean Phillips' son Jacob Phillips. So it was a very interesting read. You can read how the story came together, and then some of the coloring, like I was saying, and then it gets into the finished book. So it has the entire Pulp read in the very back. but the very front is how they came up with the story and coming up, you know, putting the whole story together. So really interesting read for Pulp the Process Edition. Last but not least, we'll talk about Criminal. We talked about it at the very front, very beginning. Criminal is their magnum opus. Everyone says it's their favorite crime noir story. They kind of set the benchmark, the modern day benchmark for how to tell a crime noir story. Criminal is really good. I've read deluxe edition number 1 and 2. I'm somewhere in the 3rd. I stopped reading it at some point for some reason, so I got to get back to it and finish it, because then I'll be all caught up with Criminal, except for The Knives. So I want to read the Criminal Deluxe Edition number 3, and then I can finish The Knives and get ready for all the Criminal stuff they have coming next year. So yeah, that's my plan for future Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips stuff, man. But yeah, check it out. Got a ton of Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. They're some of my favorite comic book duo in the game. Love going back and reading their stuff. Love collecting everything I can Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. So just wanted to share some of my favorite stuff from some of my favorite comic book duo in the game. Definitely check out Criminal number 1 if you're looking to get into Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips stuff, and it'll set you on such a fun journey, man. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and read more comics.